There's one thing you should never mention in an interview, and I wished I wouldn't have to tell you this, but it happened before multiple times and it will happen again. Never ever say. If you want to move to and work in Japan, the easiest option for many is to become an English teacher. However, not everybody is a native English speaker, like me, and also not everybody actually wants to become an English teacher, also like me. I had an existing career in IT and I wanted to continue that after moving here. Therefore, this video is specifically about that. How to get an IT job in Japan. It has 3 parts. The first one is about how to get the contacts you need to apply for a job, your salary expectations, how to get the best deal, your expectations for overtime. The second part is about the interview specifically, so only this part, what you can expect and how to nail it. And the third part are random things that I think will be helpful to you based on my experience. If you have any questions or if anything is unclear, please let me know in the comments below. Part 1. Before the interview. Before starting, I want to clarify my experience when I say IT is only software development. So no infrastructure, no hardware configuration, no software configuration, only software development. Most of what I say should apply to these 3 categories as well. However, it's likely that the level of required Japanese skill is higher for these positions. About my qualifications to actually make this video, obviously I'm working in an IT job in Japan, and to get this job I had to apply to a couple of IT positions. I'm also in my current role interviewing people that are applying to IT jobs, and the ratio is about 1 to 10. So for every job I applied to, I interview 10 people. Maybe it's a little higher, maybe 1 to 12 or so, but around this ratio, so it should give you an idea of my experience. Now about your qualifications. You have to have a university degree. There's almost no way around that. The only other option would be to have sufficient work experience in the field. Sufficient here means usually about 10 years. However, most IT people already have a university degree, so it should be okay, hopefully, for most of you. The degree itself doesn't have to be IT related. Many people in Japan study, for example, business, and then once they graduate become software engineers. That's not uncommon. However, every time I see a CV like that, I think that's so Japanese. It's not a minus point though. I would try to get some additional certifications on the side if that's the case, if you're not an IT major. For example, from Udacity or some official certification from Oracle or Google and so on. That's not necessarily something that helps you when it comes to skills, but it's nice to have in your CV, and that's important to get the first interview. When it comes to language skills, you don't have to be able to speak Japanese. However, if you have a strong command of the language, obviously you can apply to more companies. This is Japan, many people speak Japanese and know English, and therefore the probability of you landing your dream job is much higher. For those companies requiring Japanese skills, usually when I scroll through the job boards, it's about 70% requiring JLPT N1 and 30% N2, about that. Some also say conversational Japanese, which is rather unspecific, so it's hard to find out what it means. However, you can then expect to speak at least some Japanese in the interview. That being said, actually also JLPT N1 and N2 don't say a lot about your capabilities to communicate in spoken Japanese. Now, how to get the nice job descriptions you're looking for, how to get in contact. In Japan currently there is a lot more demand for skilled IT personnel than there is supply. That's why many companies are looking for foreign talent. That's why you are wanted in this country. So all you have to do right now is you go to a job board, then you find a couple of positions you like and you apply. And then after some time a recruitment company will get in contact. That's the headhunting company that's in between the actual company that wants to hire you and you. Here's the headhunting company. This company gives a lot of money to this company, usually about 5 figures or so US. And therefore this company has a big incentive to place you in the best possible position. Therefore what's usually happening is you apply to this one job description and they might not even get back to you and say you can apply here, but they will give you a lot of other opportunities they have in their backlog right now. They match it to your skills and then say, hey, how about this? And whenever they get something new, they will forward it again to you. And they will be the single point of contact when it comes to communicating with your future potential employers. They also will have probably a phone interview or in-person interview if you're in Japan before that, so they can kind of assess your skills and how you communicate and everything. And they will also give you some kind of coaching before the interviews and ask you questions how it went after the interviews. So they're really interested. Like I said, they have an incentive to place you in the best position. When it comes to salary, usually the range is between 4 and 8 million yen, so about 40,000 to 80,000 US dollars per year. It is depending on your previous salary plus your skill. But the skill level doesn't change a lot between changing jobs, so actually it's mostly your previous salary. So let's say you earned $50,000 before, or around 5 million yen, then you could add like 5 to 10%, around maybe $55,000 or 5.5 million yen would be acceptable. That being said, if you are, and you are most likely, coming from a foreign company, the cost of living might be much lower or much higher. So if you are from New York, then maybe you are expecting a much higher cost of living than it's actually gonna be in Tokyo. And if you are, let's say, from maybe India, then what you are getting in India compared to what you get here is very different. So you should make sure you don't sell yourself too short, because your previous salary and how you get promoted obviously is based on your first salary. So you get here, then you do a good job, you stay in the company for some time, or you even change jobs, but it's still based on the previous salary. So make sure your baseline when you come to Japan is really good as you can. Speaking of promotions, often they are depending on how long you stayed in a company. Most likely not on your skills, and maybe not even on your achievements. Depends on the company, obviously, also depends maybe on your superior, but still keep that in mind. And again, make sure your base level, your salary when you come here, is high enough so that you can support yourself even if you don't get promoted at the speed you would expect it from your home country. In Japan, there are essentially two types of full-time employment: the contractor and the full employee. The contractor is what you will probably be when you come as an English teacher. So you will be hired for one school year, and then this will be continued to another school year and so on, or not. And the full employee is what's more desirable, because you are essentially in a position where you cannot be fired. You also get some other benefits like paternity leave and so on. And in the current position, there's no reason for you as IT employee to be a contractor. There's no way for you, you should accept anything less than a full employee status. So please make sure if you get an offer to check that. When it comes to work hours, Japan has a 40 hours work week, and if you work more than 8 hours a day, you have to take at least 1 hour break. If you work between 6 and 8 hours, it should be 45 minutes. So 40 hours is 5 times 8 plus 1 hour of break each day, so that's 45 hours per week in total. You can obviously, and Japan is notoriously known for that, do overtime. And you can do up to 100 hours per month, however no more than 720 hours per year. Now, if this overtime is paid depends on your contract. Usually it should be, but there might be some amount, usually 20 to 40 hours, included in your contract. This might not be what you're looking for. However, it's hard to find out what exactly the company is offering without talking to them. What you're looking for is, of course, flex time and paid overtime. When it comes to holiday, please make sure you check your contract and what's written there. Some companies offer things like 100 holidays per year, which is really nice sounding, but ridiculous if you think about it, because that's less than actually taking the weekends off. So not exactly what you're looking for. What you are looking for is a 5-day work week, so weekends off, plus the national holidays, which is 16, and at least the legal requirements for additional paid time off, which is after 6 months you get 10 days, then after 18 months you get 11, then 12, then 14 every following year. Another great thing to have in your contract are sick leaves. In Germany, where I'm from, If you are sick, it doesn't count as a holiday. Even if you are on vacation, then you get sick, you can report that and get back your holidays, take them later. Not the case in Japan. If you're sick, you have to take paid time off. However, some companies, they're far and few in between, but they exist, offer like 10 days or so sick leave per year. So if you can get that, you are in a better position than I am. The second part, the interview. The interview process most likely consists out of 3 or 4 plus 1 steps. The first one being with your potential team colleagues or the manager of the potential team. The second one being with a director or the manager if he wasn't in the first interview. And the third one with a higher manager, for example a CTO or similar. If you're applying to a higher grade, you might also have an CEO interview or HR interview after that, but it depends a little bit on company and also again on your grade. After that, that's the plus 1 now, will be an offer meeting. Before the offer meeting, you receive some paperwork which details like etiquette in the office, some rules you have to follow, and also your payment. So how it's broken down, what amount of money will be your base salary, what will be 401k, what will be paid in bonuses, stock options and things like that. Based on these documents, you should prepare some questions, and then in the offer meeting you can ask anything you want to know. Probably there will be again a technical person in there, a person of your future team, likely a manager, and some HR person, so you can clarify both the day-to-day work environment and like the greater environment when it comes to the company. After that, you can accept the offer, and if you did that, then after some time you will get your visa and can come and work in Japan. If you're applying for a job in Japan from overseas, you will be asked why. Why do you want to move here? And you should have a good answer. Can be anything, culture, anime, martial arts, anything. It just should be something that gives your potential employer confidence in hiring you. So if they feel like after 6 months when you get homesick, you will quit and return home, that's not exactly what they're looking for. You should also be ready to share your expected salary. This happened to me in about 50% of the times, especially when interviewing with smaller companies. And if there's a wide scale, like let's say from 5 to 12 million yen, this happens sometimes, then don't be ridiculous and say 12 million if you are not super experienced. So if you have 15 to 20 years of experience, might be okay. If it's 3 to 5 years, then maybe find yourself in this area and ask for, let's say, 5 to 7 million or so. You will have to do a self-introduction. For every interview I went to, I had to do it, and everybody who is coming to an interview with me has to do it as well. So essentially, probably the interviewer will introduce himself or they will introduce themselves and then ask you to introduce yourself as well. Your introduction should contain at least your name, where you're from, and your relevant work experience, however, not too detailed. 2 to 3 minutes should be sufficient. You might be asked to do it in Japanese, even if the job description is in English. This happened to me one time, so it might also happen to you. If that's the case, then make sure to be as polite as you can. If you have a high level of Keigo understanding, then use that. It's better to be too polite than the other way around. Companies in Japan are investing into you. Just by hiring you, they have already paid a significant amount of money. That's why they need confidence. Confidence into you not leaving them. Therefore, if you have a lot of stations on your resume that are 2 years or less, you will be asked questions. Probably even if it's only one. But if it's more, definitely. That's called job hopper in Japan and is not desirable at all. So if you have 1 or more stations like this on your resume, you should be prepared with a good answer on why that's the case. A good reason would be: the company went out of business, I had to take care of my sick parents, there was a merger and half of the staff was laid off. Not a good excuse would be I like change or I wanted to challenge myself in another company. That's obviously not going to look very good because it just feels like you out of the blue decide to go somewhere else. They again need confidence into you. Often it's not possible to have a 100% match between your skill set and what the company wants. However, usually around 80% or so should be enough. What's more important is your attitude. How you can transport in the interview that you are able to go the extra mile and that you are a good fit for the company's culture. You should also ask some questions to find out for yourself what the culture actually is and if you personally will be happy in this company. There's one thing you should never mention in an interview, and I wished I wouldn't have to tell you this, but it happened before multiple times and it will happen again. Never ever say you want to join a company because you want more money. I mean, come on. This will be, you're out immediately. Just don't say that. Money is important, yes, that's true. And you should have a different purpose than just money in your work. There should be some meaning to what you do, but even if there's not, just come up with something. Say, I like your company, I like the field you're working in, I want to join that, I want to deliver to millions of customers and you can give me this opportunity. Say, I think I can learn a lot in your company, I want to develop myself and contribute to your business. Say, I use your products a lot and I want to contribute to how they are made. There's so many possibilities. You can say anything, but I want more money. The only reason would be if you're in the interview and you realize you don't want this position, you don't want to work there. But even in that case, just say, I think I'm not the right person for this position and leave. And if you are not doing it for you, then just please do it for me. Just don't say you want more money. Another thing I wouldn't recommend you to do is act like you can do everything if you obviously don't. This will be found out and looks incredibly incompetent. For example, if you're a junior with like 3 to 5 years experience and you say you know everything, that's obviously not the case. The senior, on the other hand, will know he doesn't know everything. A good way to actually tell apart a junior from a senior is it depends. For example, the interviewer asks a question on how to build a certain web page. The junior might say framework A, B and database C, but the senior will say it depends, because it always depends. There's no way for him to know all the requirements just with one question, and there's no way for him to know the environment, the financial support, the tech stack of the company and so on. So it always depends. If you ask a question, you should answer it as precise and straight to the point as possible. Talking around the problem and maybe not even answering it is not desirable. This is not politics, this is a tech interview. The other persons know what they're asking you and they know what to expect. So if you have the knowledge, then share it as well as you can, as precise as you can, as efficient as you can. By this you already show what kind of worker you are. If you don't have it, then maybe ask for hints, some direction, and in the worst case you just say, I don't know, but until I will join this company, I will make sure I have this knowledge. Obviously, you should know what you're doing and you should be well versed in your field. You should also know the basics of computer science, like data structures, algorithms, their runtimes and space complexities, and so on. Number 3, general tips from personal experience. Traditionally in Japan, you should have a picture of yourself on your CV. However, in IT recently this has faded away a lot. So if you have a nice picture of yourself, why not put it on there? Shouldn't be too far from the reality, obviously. But if you look like me, then maybe you don't. Your CV should not be too long. More than 2 pages will probably not be read. It should contain your relevant work experience, obviously. So from when, to when, name of the company, your responsibilities, the technologies you used. From the newest to the oldest. Should also contain your educational background. University should be enough. If you want to put in the high school as well, then again, from the newest to the oldest. Also, your language skills should be in there. For example, in my case, it would be German native, English business, and Japanese conversational, highest to lowest. You should be careful with putting in subjective scales, such as 5-star Java developer or Kotlin 4 stars, because subjectiveness, and you cannot know everything, and again, it always depends. So instead, if you want to put something like this, you can say 5 years of Java development experience, 4 years of Kotlin development experience. So all in all, make sure to keep it simple, as much as possible, on the point. Think about the person who is reading the CV and show that by your layout. So show you're an engineer and you can imagine the audience that is going to consume your product. Also in Japan, the dress code for IT interviews often is casual. However, casual does not mean unkempt. So if you're wearing a jeans with holes in it, buy a new jeans. If you're having a beard like me, then just shave. If the company is requiring you to wear business casual, this might be a sign it's a more traditional Japanese company. Also, if you go to the interview and you see people changing from their outdoor shoes into slippers when entering the office, that's another good sign for that. Obviously depends if you want that or not, but now you know there are some signs. Keep that in mind and keep an eye open for that. Japan is known for overtime culture, and certainly also in IT, companies that pressure their employees to work a lot do exist. So please, when you're in the offer meeting, make sure to ask the right questions. How much overtime is included in the contract? What will be paid? How much overtime do the other IT people usually work? And so on. Also, please check Glassdoor or other review web pages to find out any reviews and anything previous employees had to say about the company. If you cannot find anything, it might be good to weigh your options. You are you, and your experience is different from mine, your friends, and everybody else's. So if something does not go according to plan, for example, not like I said or your friend said it should be, and so on, don't panic, don't overthink. That's not gonna help anybody. Enjoy the process. Maybe it's something that's completely new to you. Then learn something, and if you cannot get your dream job at this fantastic company you wanted to join, then maybe the next one is even better. That's all for now. Let me know if you have any questions below. Thank you for watching, and see you next time.